Hello, everyone. This is Jeffrey Kerr. After taking about a month-long hiatus, I'm ready to begin the 8th year of the Kerr Reviews podcast. For my first order of business in 2026, it's all about the Oscars. This year's telecast will be hosted by Conan O'Brien for the second year in a row. Nominations were announced on January 22nd. Today, we're here to discuss the nominees in each of the top 8 above the line categories. What I'm going to be doing is go through them one by one, reading out loud all the nominees, and give some commentary on them. From screenplay to acting to directing to the biggest one of all, Best Picture. So let's get started, shall we? For Best Adapted Screenplay, the nominees are Begonia, Frankenstein, Hamnet, One Battle After Another, and Train Dreams. In this category, I went 5 for 5 in my predictions. Prior to the announcement, the Writers Guild of America had not yet revealed their award nominations, so they weren't going to be helpful with predicting the writing lineups this year. But for the precursors that did chime in beforehand, One Battle After Another had already won both the Critics' Choice and Combined Screenplay category at the Golden Globes, in addition to being longlisted at BAFTA. Hamnet received citations from all those groups as well. Meanwhile, Begonia, Frankenstein, and Train Dreams each made the BAFTA longlist and were also nominated at Critics' Choice. Of all the other possibilities, according to the scoreboard I've put together on my website, nothing really gained traction anywhere else beyond just one precursor. So I played it safe by predicting the default 5 everyone else appeared to have been going with. For Best Original Screenplay, the nominees are Blue Moon, It Was Just an Accident, Marty Supreme, Sentimental Value, and Sinners. In this category, I went 4 for 5 in my predictions. Marty Supreme, Sentimental Value, and Sinners were each longlisted at BAFTA, in addition to earning bids from Critics' Choice and Golden Globes. As for the final 2 slots, there were different possibilities. Unlike most predictors, I actually called Blue Moon sneaking into this category. Despite only receiving a mention from the BAFTA longlist, it had backing from Sony Pictures Classics. That indie studio has time and again managed to pull off a number of surprise nominations over the years. The lesson to be learned there is to never doubt them. Although for the last slot, many expected it was just an accident, despite only making it in at the Globes and BAFTA longlist, I, like many, had a sneaking suspicion it wasn't gonna do as well with the Academy as predictors were expecting. I actually went out on a limb and predicted The Secret Agent would sneak in over it. While that film has largely been seen more as a directorial achievement, there's still been quite a bit of growing support for it from the Critics' Choice and Golden Globe wins for Best International Feature Film. Plus, it made the BAFTA longlist in this category, so on paper it seemed plausible The Secret Agent would be a dark horse for a nomination. Yet, that didn't happen. Neither did Sorry Baby, no matter how much Julia Roberts tried with her glowing praise for it at the Globes. For Best Supporting Actress, the nominees are Elle Fanning, Sentimental Value, Inga Ipsdotter Lilius, Sentimental Value, Amy Madigan, Weapons, Wunmi Masaku, Sinners, and Tiana Taylor, One Battle After Another. In this category, I went 4 for 5 in my predictions. Tiana Taylor had already won the Golden Globe in addition to making the lineups at Critics' Choice and SAG, as well as the BAFTA longlist. Despite Weapons being a horror movie with no other nominations, Amy Madigan showing up everywhere coupled with her Critics' Choice win helped seal the deal for a nod here. To date, only 2 Best Supporting Actress winners there didn't go on to receive an Oscar bid in this category, but there's an asterisk next to both of them. First, Joan Allen for Pleasantville in 1998, but she won that in a tie with Kathy Bates for Primary Colors, who was Oscar nominated. And the second was Kate Winslet for The Reader in 2008, but she did go on to win the Oscar for that as lead. As for who is rounding out the remaining three slots, Inga showed up everywhere but SAG, yet that group rarely goes for foreign language films, so I figured she was safe anyway. Wunmi Masaku also showed up everywhere but the Golden Globes, yet I figured she'd still get in as a coattail nom for Sinners. With the fifth slot, many early on thought Ariana Grande was a shoo-in for Wicked for Good, especially after showing up everywhere. Yet, given how there hasn't been nearly as much enthusiasm for the film itself as there was for the first movie last year, she started to appear on shaky grounds. Plus, while we have seen actors receive multiple Oscar nominations for playing the same character before, doing so in back to back years has still never happened. So I successfully called her missing, although what I definitely didn't see coming at all was Wicked for Good getting completely shut out. It didn't even show up in Best Costume Design. Who I settled on for the fifth slot was Odessa Azayan for Marty Supreme. Many have hailed her as the breakout star of that film. It's been peaking at just the right time in the season. She showed up at SAG as well as on the BAFTA long list. So on paper, it looked like she had a shot of making the Oscar lineup, yet instead, Elle Fanning did. Despite only showing up at the Critics' Choice and Golden Globes, the overall strength of sentimental value must have been enough to carry her through. Plus, it helps that she has an actor-friendly role as she's playing an actress in it. For Best Supporting Actor, the nominees are Benicio del Toro, One Battle After Another, Jacob Elordi, Frankenstein, Delroy Lindo, Sinners, Sean Penn, One Battle After Another, and Stellan Skarsgård, Sentimental Value. In this category, I went 4 for 5 in my predictions. Those who got in everywhere were Benicio del Toro, Jacob Elordi, who also managed to pull a surprise win at Critics' Choice, and Sean Penn. Like Inga, Stellan Skarsgård showed up everywhere but SAG, yet I felt he was still safe for his career first Oscar nomination. Him winning the Globe certainly helped, and I must admit, when Delroy Lindo's name was called as I was watching the nominations announcement, I was so shocked he managed to get in that I didn't even realize who missed until shortly thereafter, and the one who missed was Paul Mescal for Hamnet. He showed up at every major precursor, was in a strong contender, and many assumed that he and his co-star Jessie Buckley were going to be seen as a package deal. How can you nominate one without nominating the other? And when he missed, I wondered if he was going to pull a surprise by showing up in lead instead, which was what happened with Keisha Castle Hughes in Whale Rider and the aforementioned Kate Winslet in The Reader. Lakeith Stanfield in Judas and the Black Messiah as well, but in his case, he was campaigned as lead but showed up in supporting, yet it didn't happen. Nonetheless, good for Delroy Lindo. He's been in the business for decades, has worked with everyone, and is now a first-time Oscar nominee, especially after many thought it would happen for him with Da Five Bloods 5 years ago, but never went anywhere beyond Critics' Choice. This time, the only place he showed up was the BAFTA long list, yet the overall strength of Sinners managed to carry him through. For Best Actress, the nominees are Jessie Buckley, Hamnet, Rose Byrne, If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You, Kate Hudson, Song Sung Blue, Renata Reinsve, Sentimental Value, and Emma Stone, Begonia. In this category, I went 4 for 5 in my predictions. Those who got in everywhere were Jessie Buckley, who won the Critics' Choice and Globe for Best Drama Actress, Rose Byrne, who won the Globe for Best Comedy Musical Actress, and Emma Stone. Although I did wonder if the latter was going to be this year's contender to hit every precursor and then get snubbed by the Academy. Yet I still predicted her to get in, as I, like many, felt that she's starting to follow similar Oscar runs to Kate Blanchett and Meryl Streep by becoming a perennial nominee. As for the final two slots, Renata Reinsve showed up everywhere but SAG, but like Inga and Stellan in their respective categories, I figured she was safe. With the fifth slot, I, like many, assumed Chase Infinity was safe to round out this category for One Battle After Another. She got in everywhere, and despite being a newcomer and in a borderline supporting role, I figured the overall strength of the film would carry her through, but instead, it went to Kate Hudson in Song Sung Blue. Despite that movie not catching on in other categories beyond just her, she got an everywhere but Critics' Choice and has an awards friendly role. Plus, it helps that she has industry connections through her famous mother, Goldie Hawn, and stepfather, Kurt Russell. In the end, it's cool that she managed to get her first Oscar nod since her breakout role in Almost Famous 25 years ago. For Best Actor, the nominees are Timothy Chalamet, Marty Supreme, Leonardo DiCaprio, One Battle After Another, Ethan Hawke, Blue Moon, Michael B. Jordan, Sinners, and Wagner Moura, The Secret Agent. In this category, I went 5 for 5 in my predictions. Those who got in everywhere were Timothy Chalamet, who won the Critics' Choice and Globe for Best Comedy Musical Actor, Leonardo DiCaprio, Ethan Hawke, and Michael B. Jordan. Although some wondered if Hawke was going to be the contender to hit every precursor but get stumped by the Academy, and if he didn't have Sony Pictures Classics backing him, I would have easily predicted him to miss, so I stuck with him making the cut. As for the fifth slot, there were a couple different possibilities. Joel Edgerton got in everywhere but SAG for Train Dreams. With that film making the Best Picture lineup, he could have gotten nominated any other year. And Jesse Plemons got in everywhere but Critics' Choice for Begonia, and it's possible members of the actors branch could have seen him and Stone as a package deal for that movie. Yet in the end, I settled on Wagner Moura for The Secret Agent. Despite no mentions at SAG nor on the BAFTA long list, him winning the Globe for Best Drama Actor certainly helped. And to date, the last winner in that category who didn't go on to receive an Oscar nomination was Jim Carrey for The Truman Show way back in 1998. So I played it safe by sticking with the consensus 5 according to the odds on Gold Derby. For Best Director, the nominees are Paul Thomas Anderson, One Battle After Another, Ryan Coogler, Sinners, Josh Safdie, Marty Supreme, Joaquin Trier, Sentimental Value, and Chloe Zhao, Hamnet. In this category, I went 4 for 5 in my predictions. Paul Thomas Anderson had already won this category at the Critics' Choice and Golden Globes, in addition to earning a Directors Guild of America bid and mention on the BAFTA long list. Ryan Coogler and Chloe Zhao both earned nods everywhere, too. Josh Safdie may have gotten in everywhere but the Globes, but with Marty Supreme peaking at just the right time, I figured he'd make it, and Joaquin Trier may have gotten in everywhere but DGA, but I figured the international voting bloc of the Academy would vouch for him. Although I actually predicted Coogler would be the shocking snub. There's usually at least one of those in this particular category every year. Previous examples include Edward Berger for Conclave, Greta Gerwig for Barbie, Denis Villeneuve for Dune, Aaron Sorkin for The Trial of the Chicago 7, Bradley Cooper for A Star is Born, and Martin McDonagh for Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. What half of those movies, Barbie, Dune, and A Star is Born, have in common is that they were all crowd-pleasing populist commercial hits, which would also describe Sinners. The director's branch has especially had a long love-hate relationship with populist films, so I figured that was once again going to be the case here. Even as Sinners kept showing up in a ton of categories, that still didn't mean Coogler was making it into the director lineup, as Best Picture is the only category where all branches get to vote on nominations. Everything else is only voted on by members of a specific branch, like directors vote on directing noms, actors vote on acting noms, and writers vote on writing noms, and so on. After all, we've seen films like the aforementioned Dune, Steven Spielberg's The Color Purple, and The First Wicked just last year earn double-digit nominations, but none for directing. Yet, since its debut way back in April, Sinners has proven to be such a cultural phenomenon. So much to the point of Coogler not only making the lineup, but also the movie itself setting a whole new record as the most nominated film in Oscar history. Previously, it was a three-way tie between All About Eve, Titanic, and La La Land with 14. Now it's Sinners with 16. Even without the new addition of Best Casting this year, that record still would have been broken with 15. So who did I think was sneaking in over Coogler? Guillermo del Toro for Frankenstein was certainly possible given how beloved he is, coupled with the fact that he made it everywhere but the BAFTA longlist. However, I went out on a limb by predicting Kleber Philo for The Secret Agent. Despite getting in nowhere, his movie has so far taken off as a threat for Best International Feature, having already won that category as Critics' Choice and the Globes. Plus, as the director's branch managed to nominate two foreign language films in this category just 2 years ago, with Jonathan Glazer for The Zone of Interest and Justine Triet for Anatomy of a Fall, I thought it was possible they would do it again, but alas, not this year. For Best Picture, the nominees are Begonia, F1, Frankenstein, Hamnet, Marty Supreme, One Battle After Another, The Secret Agent, Sentimental Value, Sinners, and Train Dreams. In this category, I went 10 for 10 in my predictions. The films that earned mentions in this category from the Critics' Choice, Golden Globes, and Producers Guild of America, as well as the BAFTA long lists, were Begonia, Frankenstein, Hamnet, Marty Supreme, One Battle After Another, Sentimental Value, and Sinners. Train Dreams may have only gotten in at Critics' Choice and PGA, but I figured its mention at the latter, coupled with being backed by Netflix, was enough to convince me that it was making the Oscar lineup. And despite only showing up in Best Motion Picture Drama at the Globes, the growing surge for The Secret Agent, coupled with the more international voting bloc at the Academy, I felt was enough for the film itself to make it. As for the 10th slot, it was such a toss-up. Early on, it looked like It Was Just an Accident was a shoo-in, but that never took off anywhere at all beyond just the Globes. And some have even wondered if movies like Blue Moon or Weapons would be dark horses, and I ended up settling on F1 in part because I literally had no idea what the hell to do. It did get in at PGA, but that was its only major Best Picture mention throughout the whole season, and the last film to have made the Oscar lineup with just PGA and nothing else was Hidden Figures way back in 2016. It may have gotten some craft nominations as expected, but that didn't stop other movies from getting into Best Pictures such as Avatar: The Way of Water, Black Panther, Dune Part 2, Ford v Ferrari, nor Warhorse. So in the end, I'm glad my instincts proved to be right. Not to mention that Brad Pitt's production company, Plan B Entertainment, happens to be producers on F1, and they have a pretty impressive track record when it comes to getting their films nominated for Best Picture. So that's just about does it for my reactions to this year's Oscar nominations. I'll do my best to provide more coverage of the race within the next month or so leading up to the Academy Awards on Sunday, March 15th.